Hello, this is Chad Griffith, and today we will attempt to answer the question, how is local history important? To answer that question, we will look at some of the history of the Mid-Ohio Valley. Today's video will focus on the Ohio River Valley from Marietta, Ohio to Portland, Ohio, a roughly 40-mile length of river. Local history is an integral part of the culture of any locale. Local history belongs to all of us and helps to tie us together. As we learn more about it, local history reminds us what we share, helping to make connections among people who may otherwise never realize connections one to another. Local history often ties into bigger history. Examples today will include such names as George Washington, Aaron Burr, and Meriwether Lewis. Our 4 river stops today along the Ohio River span 3 counties on the Ohio side of the river, Washington, Athens, and Meigs counties. It spans 2 counties on the West Virginia side, Wood and Jackson counties. The history of the river in this region is not the history of one state, one county, or one town. It is shared local history among all in the region. We start our journey today in Marietta, on the banks of the Muskingum River. Marietta was the first city to be carved out of the Northwest Territory after the young United States gained the land from the British at the end of the Revolutionary War. It was here at the confluence of the Muskingum and Ohio rivers that Meriwether Lewis stopped on his way down the Ohio River in order to purchase supplies and set out to meet up with Clark and explore the far reaches of the American West. Our next stop is about 12 miles downriver from Marietta, and it is known today as Blennerhassett Island. It took its name from its most famous owner, Harmon Blennerhassett. Though interesting in his own right, Mr. Blennerhassett fits best into the bigger picture of U.S. and world histories because he fell in with Aaron Burr, who had been the Vice President of the United States and who killed Alexander Hamilton in a duel. Blennerhassett purchased a small flotilla of boats, allegedly to assist Burr in the creation of a new country farther to the west. Once put on trial, Burr was found innocent of treason, but Blennerhassett never financially recovered and was eventually forced to return to his native Ireland. Today, his island is a West Virginia state park, complete with a modern rebuild of his once glorious mansion. To get there, visitors take a stern-wheel boat across to the island. Less than 10 miles farther downstream from the island is a small town called Hockingport, Ohio. It sits at the mouth of the Hocking River. George Washington and Meriwether Lewis each called the river the Hocking, but that extra syllable did not stand the test of time. So the river and various towns, roads, and businesses along it have the name Hocking instead of Hocking. Washington traveled down the Ohio River in 1770, surveying the land along its banks. Thousands of acres of that land would one day be his as partial payment for his service during the Revolutionary War. One of the places that he camped was, according to his journal, just across from the mouth of the Hocking River, visible here as the point across in the distance. When Washington left modern-day Hockingport, he only made it a few miles down the Ohio before he came upon a hunting party of Indians encamped on the Virginia bank. He recognized the leader as Chief Cayashuta, a man he knew from many years before. To accommodate Washington, the chief moved his camp down to the mouth of the Shade River near Long Bottom, Ohio. Long Bottom takes its name potentially from Washington's journal. There, Washington and Cayashuta talked about their dealings with the French years prior. Hundreds of miles away in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, there is a statue commemorating that chance meeting of great leaders who sometimes sided together and sometimes not. There has been a historical marker at the site near the confluence of the Shade River and Ohio River since the 1930s, marking the importance of Washington and his travels down the Ohio. The Daughters of the American Revolution still gather and read from his journals to mark the location and occasion. About 6 miles downstream from the mouth of the Shade River is Buffington Island. The island, the river, the banks, and the surrounding Ohio fields were the site of Ohio's only major Civil War battle in 1863. The aptly named Battle of Buffington Island was a key chapter in the story of General John Hunt Morgan, who is known mainly for his part in what has come to be called Morgan's Raid. The Union troops won the battle with the help of gunboats on the Ohio River. The Chicago Tribune of July 23, 1863, reported on the battle, claiming that 2,000 Confederate prisoners were being sent by steamboat to Cincinnati, Ohio. This gives a feel for the size and scope of the battle. Though not as large, important to the outcomes of the war, or nearly as well known as the great battles in Virginia and Pennsylvania, the people of the Mid-Ohio Valley take great pride in their ties to the history of Morgan's Raid. There are various events, including memorials and reenactments, that bring people from many states to learn together and see how local history can help clarify national and global history, all while generating a sense of community and bringing together old friends while helping to make new ones. 8 miles or so past Buffington Island sits Old Town Creek. Before the advent of the modern lock and dam system, there was a large sandbar at the confluence of Old Town and the Ohio. Old Town Bar, as it was known, was very large and caught the eye of Meriwether Lewis on his journey down the Ohio. The weather had cleared after a strong rain had wetted nearly everything in the boats. Lewis ordered the party to stop at the sandbar, as it was roomy enough to lay out the various wet items and allow them to dry for a few hours. The entire day passed, and the job was not done, so they spent the night, losing nearly an entire day of travel. Among the many interesting things that Lewis and Clark brought to light was Lewis's journals, giving ample space to the odd nature of swimming squirrels on the Ohio River. He noted the direction of their swimming and commented that his dog harvested many for him and his men. Local history is important. Even the far reaches of out-of-the-way rural communities like those in the Mid-Ohio Valley can find a 40-mile stretch of river with strong connections to the father of our country and some of the best-known explorers of all time. There are tales of great Indian chiefs and Civil War battles, all happening just along the banks of the Ohio, It doesn't matter if it is people with great interest in history, people with no interest in history, but plenty of interest in riverboats and squirrel hunting, or something in between. Local history is an important part of local culture, and along with tying local history to bigger history, it helps to tie communities and people together.